start out by answering your questions. First, I want to say thank you. We had a huge spike in views, and I wanted to take time to answer your questions about driving. From my perspective, uh, I'm driving with my, and we're going to go through the questions. So Strong Zo, and this was 3 hours ago, said, I do everything wrong, I guess, but I never got into any kind of accident. So what does this mean? Well, Zoe, this means that you are driving properly, you have good speed control, you're a defensive driver. A lot of times, and it takes 10 years. It takes 10 years for a driver to truly understand what you need to do that's best. Let me go ahead and get this a little better. It takes 10 years for a driver to truly understand about driving and to do their best work. That should be a little bit better. So consistency is important. Doing your best work is important, and connecting with drivers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the comments also too. Right? So the live chat is visible also. So Zoe, my comments to you, just keep driving, be safe, do your best work. We have about 367 comments, and I first want to say thank you. Thank you, because I had a huge jump in views, a huge jump in subscribers. So I want to do the best thing possible for me as a content creator. That is answer your questions. Okay? Next, we have Boomer. You want to give a heart and thumbs up too. We have Boomer Tyler. Okay? Boomer Tyler. 9 and 3 presents a natural movement of resistance for taking positive action. I understand, and let's get our steering wheel. Our steering wheel, and this is similar to what you have in a car. We have our hands at 9 and 3 or 10 and 2. Now, this is a specially designed steering wheel for my Gen 1 Camaro, but for teaching purposes, so let's use this. 9 and 3 or 10 and 2. We know there's an airbag in the center of the wheel. So what we want to do is avoid putting our thumbs there. And hand-over-hand steering is good for right turns. It's good for reversing into a driveway. Okay. It also is really important. 10 and 2, 9 and 3 are comfortable positions. There is no absolute best way to hold the steering wheel. I want all of you to know this. 9 and 3 is pretty good. 10 and 2 is pretty good. You want to drive with both hands on the wheel, and that's extremely important. So you want to be consistent with your driving. You want to be safe. A lot of beginning drivers tend to put their hands down to the bottom of the wheel, making it small. You put your hand to the top. You never want to put your hand underneath and turn underhand. You'll end up throwing the car. So we don't want you to throw the car. We want you to steer hand over hand into the turn, hand over hand out. That is extremely important that you have really good control. Keep both hands on the wheel, be consistent, have good steering control, have good speed control. In the event of an accident, you want to let the steering wheel go upon impact, because you could break your wrist, break your thumbs, and you want to be extremely careful. Okay, thank you for the thumbs up. Jess Honey, that car's from England. The way we have the camera set up, we're actually in North America. There is a really good content creator that is in Europe. I would definitely love to travel to Europe. I know how to drive a manual, and I think that will be awesome. Europeans have a more challenging test than the Americans. In Australia, they drive on the left. In the UK, they drive on the left. So you want to have good control. We're really going to be looking through and picking some really good questions. Tyler said, Tyler Loud Milk said, I'm wholesome. Well, hopefully you're talking about, I am a wholesome person. I'm very caring, loving. I want all of you to be good drivers. I'm blessed that all of you have chosen to leave some comments, so I want to answer those comments. James Davidson said, well, the palm trick works well for mud. Um, I haven't been in mud before. I do watch some mud racing, and I know a lot of those guys or ladies are really having strong movements. They're trying to keep that car on that terrain. They're trying to spin left, spin right. But I think if you palm it, you're going to fishtail the rear of the tire, just like I'm fishtailing my seat right now. So you got to be really careful. You don't want to over rotate because you can spin the car out of control if you over rotate by palming, because palming, you're going to spin back and forth, and that's a sharp movement. And if I see my student drivers doing that, I know we're going to hit the curb. So you want to be careful with palming the wheel because it can slip out of your hand. And then in the middle of the turn, if it slips, you're going to go left, veer into traffic, or you're going to go right and lose control. So try to keep both hands on the wheel. I did drive a young man who had one hand, and this is back when they had plastic, okay, no robotics. So he drove better than people with both hands on the wheel. Brandon McCravey, new protocol is 4 and 8. Okay, 4 and 8. It is a little bit lower, but remember, I have really long arms. I'm like 6'4", 280. So 4 and 8, I'm going to make the wheel small, right? 9 and 3 is good for me. 10 and 2, look at me, 10 and 2. I feel like the wheel is small, but this is a small, specially designed wheel. You want to have wheels that give you control, okay? School buses, they don't have small wheels like this. Bigger vehicles. So it depends on the type of vehicle you have. It depends on what you're doing, okay? SAP, how to crash your car 101. Thank God I have not been in a crash yet, but you want to reduce your speed if you feel you're losing control. You don't want to oversteer. Now, I've drifted off the road before. I've been in the ditch before. That is very scary. So you want to make sure that you are in control of your car. You're making good decisions. Greg S. So what happens if you drive a standard? Well, we already know. I have driven a standard before. Driving a standard, you're holding you're driving with your left hand and you're shifting with your right. If you're in the UK or Australia, the steering wheel is on the right, so you're driving with your right hand and shifting with your left. That'll be a little bit different for me, but I imagine that I still can shift, 1, 2. I do have a Hemi 4-speed race transmission, so you just bip the clutch and you pop it first, second, third, fourth, but that's for a racing application. But I imagine if you learn how to drive those vehicles properly, it's total control. So I had a chance to drive a stick shift car. I had a 87 IROC Z, and that had a T5 5-speed. I broke it a couple times, but you do learn how to become a better driver driving a manual. POV, you're about to cry. I do understand about losing control. If you oversteer or shock the suspension, your tires will lift off the surface. Example, when I learned how to drive, I would power shift through the neighborhood. Literally, I'm showing you, I'm gonna go sideways. I would push the gas. I had a manual, and I was driving about 10 miles an hour. So I would bip the clutch, and basically I would leave skid marks down the street. That was learning how to drive a manual, right? Going about 10, not doing any damage, popping. Thank you for these tips. I'm going to the DMV to take my written test. Thank you. I do have some Kahoot and Quizlets in there, and if you want more of those things, let me know. We just want to keep going and just pop in your questions. So to finish that story, here I am driving, young guy in Detroit, West Side, driving down the street, and I'm just bipping that clutch, and it's leaving skid marks, but I'm learning how to drive under control, okay? And in ice and snow, if you hit that gas or brake too hard, you're gonna skid. Let's keep it going. Brian, Kirkham, I keep my left hand on my knee and just steer with my thumb. Home team, you're going to break your thumb, right? You're not going to have control. And if you drive with your thumb, whoa, I almost dropped my steering wheel. That would have been terrible. But if you drive with your thumb, you're going to lose control. You're going to steer just like this. And that, you're not going to have the control that you need. You feel me? You're not going to have the control that you need. And if a car jumps out or deer jumps out, you really can't drive because you don't have enough surface area to control the wheel. I'm just giving you my opinion. You might be a better driver than me. If you are, send me a video. But you want to have, and what if you don't have a full, hands? You want to have good control of your vehicle. Okay, that's a good one. Timmy Crow, here's something you should do. Drive a taxi. Well, I teach driver's education, so I'm in that seat, but I'm not driving. Watch people driving. I imagine it's very repetitive. You're steering right, you're steering left, and I imagine you're just turning enough to get through the turn. A lot of beginning drivers overturn or underturn, and if you're driving for a living, and I drive for a living, teaching adults and teens how to drive, you want them to have smooth turns. You want to feel safe when you drive. And that's extremely important that you feel safe when you drive. If you're still listening, share this with your friends. Come on, drop a comment, drop a question. James said, good strategies, all of which I do not partake. Well, James, everyone looks at things differently. Knowledge is power. I want you to be safe. I want you to be consistent. And where we're from, in the northern part of the country, they're deer. And if a deer comes out, you're going to end up hitting that deer because you want to hit those brakes and hit that thing head on. If you swerve, you're going to be in the ditch. Broncacha, we do 8 and 4. Okay, here's about 8 and 4. That's not bad. But I like to have leverage. To the people how long your arms are. Well, I'm here to help you get better. I'm here to answer your questions. I want you to do your best work. And it's all about safety. Safety is no accident. Christian D, I don't get it. I was taught 8 and 4 to keep the airbag from breaking my arms if it goes off. Did the stats go down? And if so, number one, there's no one best. Hi, I just wanted to say thanks. It's great for help. My mom and teens, okay? I'm glad to help. And that's what it's about. So I'm answering your comments. We're typing a response in. We're giving you love back because you took the time to leave a comment, to subscribe, and I want to give that back to you. So we're going to take our time and go through all these questions we can and just do our best work. Literally every way I drive is that. Well, Jay loves J333. You want to have a positive mindset, and it's really easy for us to kind of drive reckless as time goes on, as you get older. Look, it takes 10 years for a beginning driver to learn how to drive. And if you learn and sloppy in the steering wheel, you won't be able to make the turn. I don't know what climate you live in. We live in a cold weather climate. We have short summers, and we love our summers. But in the wintertime, when that black ice gets on there, my brother, my sister, you could end up crashing that car, and we don't want that to happen. Kevin H., drive how you want to. Well, if you drive how you want to, you're going to end up having higher insurance rates. You're going to end up having more accidents. You're going to have reckless behavior, and that puts you in a dangerous situation. If I see drivers weaving in and out of traffic, that tells me, hey, they're road raging. That's a Russian. The number one reason why people drive fast is because they're late, okay? Most of the people who are subscribing to me are between 19 and about 45 years old. We all know if you're late to school, late to work, you're going to speed. So leave a little bit early. I used to be that example. I used to leave late. And your heart's pounding if I can make 3 lights. And then what happens, you end up brake checking someone, blowing a light, and almost killing yourself. So what I need all of you to do is just be patient, be careful, and just take your time. If you have questions on the live chat, type them in. We're answering each question as we go along. Alexander N., do you have any tips on a learner permit test? Yes. Here in North America, if you're trying to get your TIP, that's your temporary instruction permit, You've got to be 18 years old. You've got to go to the DMV, take a knowledge test, pass that test, and get your temporary learner's permit. You drive for 30 days with someone. Then, if you're ready, you go take that road test. Little do you know, a lot of teens, 16, 17, 18, they are waiting because a lot of people don't want to drive. I drove a young lady today. I really don't want to be here. So I said, honestly, then why are you here? Well, my family's making me drive. I said, well, you need to put your heart into driving. And it's really important that you do that. Okay? Jerem 1, you have to prepare for driving. We need to take a knowledge test. And what I learned from this, I like to see all drivers every 3 years, every 5 years, go back, take a professional development class to get better at driving. Okay? Mangus M, the way he said thank you at the end haunts my dreams. Well, I'm passionate about saying thank you. And I'm very passionate about driving. And if you take the time to leave a comment, I'm going to respond. I'm not a creeper. I'm an adult. I teach teenagers and adults, right? And I've been doing this over 23 years. So you learn new things all the time. I'm new to this platform. So the comments that you put in, I think, I analyze them, and I do reply. So I'm taking the time right now. If you're new to the stream, we had a huge increase in subscribers. We had over 365 comments. So we're taking the time to answer as many comments as possible. And if you got a comment, type it in live. We're going through the one video that had a lot of questions. I don't speak Spanish. So Dylan, do you know what that is? Mm-mm. Okay, I'm sorry, but we're going to give you a thumbs up in love. Mark Powell, driving for 25 years, mostly hands above the wheel, 9 and 3. Thank you, Mark. It depends on, what you feel comfortable with. Now, we know there's an airbag in the middle. This is a specially designed steering wheel for a racing application, but there's an airbag in the middle. We're not saying drive with your arm all over the wheel. Yes, you're going to crash, and if you drive like this, you will lose control. How do I know? I see teens and adults doing this all the time. And you can see the accident happening before it happens. So we want to have your hands at 9 and 3 or 10 and 2. There's no best way to turn the steering wheel. Now, I have some truck drivers chime in too. So that's a whole nother application. If you have a question now, type it in. So John Smith, I'll be turning with my little finger. Bro, you go, look, I'm going to show you. This happened from football. You see my finger is broken right here? That's what's going to happen to your finger. You can't turn with your finger. You don't have enough leverage. You will lose control. You'll cut the skin on your finger and you can literally break your finger. You don't have enough control. Okay? It takes a lot of control to turn the wheel. And even with one hand, you got to turn slowly. If you go too fast, the rear of the car, watch my chair, will rotate out from under you. If you have questions, drop them into the chat. We're answering as many questions as possible. Jose Rose, I've been driving with my palm for years and never lost control. Well, I lost control once, was because I was driving. The snow is a dangerous animal, okay? If you palm the wheel, you're going to lose control. You don't have control. Well, what if I have one hand? Then you have your other prosthetic hand holding the wheel, and you want to turn the wheel smoothly, right? If you're born with one hand, you can drive those things, and you can, right there, you can do those things. But you want to have best practice and drive with both hands. I love the questions. I love the comments. So practice, have both hands on the wheel because you will lose control. I live in a state where the potholes are ridiculous. We have incredible winters, really warm summers. That thawing and freezing cycle is really hard on asphalt and cement. Okay, and if you've seen my YouTube videos, my shorts, they're huge potholes. And I guarantee if you don't have both hands on the wheel, you will lose control. You will veer off the road. Okay, so let's keep answering. We got Juice. Juice says left hand is the only way. Well, you're going to lose control. And if you're making lefts, you're going to turn like this. You're going to make a short, sharp turn. And if you make a short, sharp turn, you're going to go right hand on into the traffic, and you're going to lose control. because if you hit that turn over 25, your car's going to over rotate, your steering wheel's going to over rotate. So you want to have best practice. This is not GTA. This is real life out here. If you think it's GTA or a joke, you're going to end up really losing control. We don't want that to happen to you. It's Michael Caulfield. It honestly just depends on my mood. Well, hopefully you have a good mood. Hopefully you're thinking of safety. When I'm driving with my students, I teach them 9 and 3 or 10 and 2. We're talking about hand placement. We know there's an airbag in the middle, and that's a whole nother discussion. And I can find professional literature on that. The literature varies from year to year. Who wrote it, 9 and 3, 10 and 2, 4 and 6. You have to drive and be aware of the airbag. You have to be able to make a maneuver. And most people, when we go to gas stations, you see people turning out, backing out hand over hand. You can't palm the wheel because you're going to lose control because you'll turn a little bit at a time. We're going to keep going through the questions. Lower City, I just passed much yesterday. An instructor noted that I did that around corners. If pins, that habits are easy to get up and freeze up when they get into the car. If you have a comment right now, pop it in, type it in. Give this live stream a like. We're answering all 365 questions. Type your question in. It's your experience. You want the safest method, okay? You haven't been in a car with a new driver who has fear in their heart and fear in their eyes and they're panicking. I see this every day, and I have to stay calm because my life depends on it, okay? I had a young man today driving. His foot got stuck between the gas and brake. He literally panicked. And if I would have panicked, we would have crashed. But I didn't panic. Bill Barr, 10 and 2 is great way to break your arms and if you get into a crash. I can't believe they're still teaching this. Bill Barr, there are different methodologies out. There needs to be more literature on this. 9 and 3, 10 and 2, 7 and 3. It's a round steering wheel. We're not driving the Tesla, okay? We don't have the yoke. That Tesla is a $120,000 car. That's like rare, okay? Until we do more research on this, there are different methodologies, but that's a good question. I am Sui Sketchy, 32. I still don't know how to drive. I wish my anxiety will go away. Well, first, we love you and care, and look at my tutorials. You need to find a person who loves you and supports you. Have your support, have your caregivers there. It could be your older brother or sister, a cousin. A lot of adults have anxiety and they never learn how to drive. Anxiety is real. Have a support system. Go talk to your psychologist. Talk to me. I'm trained to teach people with anxiety. Start in your neighborhoods. Start making right turns very slow. Start making left turns very slow. Go into a parking lot and do figure eights. Okay, these are a few of the tips and tricks and secrets that I do. I will make more tutorials. Anxiety is real. Okay, you need to go on and drive during off-peak hours. Okay, door two. I always palm the wheel. Well, if you palm the wheel, you're going to end up crashing. I'm going to try to hold the wheel. If you palm it, this is what you're doing, and you're going to lose control. You only have your palm. And that's a sketchy way to drive. Don't learn that method. Try a preferred method of both hands on the wheel. The Spirit. Hey, teach just to tell you, I know you're palming the wheel incorrectly. You must have pressure on the grip. You want to have good pressure. You can push down, but if you push down on the wheel, you really can't steer. So you almost have to have light pressure. I have a really large hand. Okay, some of you have smaller hands, okay? And if you have a smaller hand, you're gonna have smaller surface area. My palm is really large. You can see my hand right here. Have good control. Let's keep going. Molly Silverman. Thank you, sharing this with my girl who got a permit. She's doing great, thank you. Do you have more? She's making a right turn after a complete stop. She's kind of rolling. A lot of beginning drivers they do three things. They go too fast, they go wide, or they cut it short. If you cut it short, you're going to go over the curb. If you go fast, the centrifugal force will pull you out to the left. So you want to have good speed control under 10 miles an hour, and you want to be consistent. I do 16 right turns, 16 left turns, and have great speed control, right? Peter, if I need a car, I use a taxi. But I use taxis. You know, that's your method of transportation. If you eventually want to drive, you're going to have to get some type of learner's permit. You're going to have to take a knowledge test. And that is a huge feeling. I've been there when my students, teens, and adults go on that last drive. And it's incredible. They're excited. Their parents are excited. I get a chance to see teens and adults grow up. Great question. Next, yo mom. My parents do both. Some parents do hand over hand. Some do the shuffle thing. Some palm it. That's your mom and dad. I'm not getting involved in that. Your mom and dad brought you in this world, and your mom and dad can take you out of this world. Learn from your mother, good practices. Learn from your dad, good practices. But in reality, you are part of your mom and dad. You hear me? So you have to learn. You're going to learn from watching social media. You're going to learn from my videos. You're going to learn from watching TV. I watch all forms of motorsports. Drag racing, Formula One, mud racing, manual stick shift driving, to learn best practice. And then find the method that works for you. Okay, my race car's in the garage. I haven't been on the track in a few years. We'll get a camera in there. And when you're pulling 3 or 4 G's from the line, trust me, you're trying to hold that wheel as straight as possible. Okay, and you end up drifting all over the road. So look straight ahead when you drive. Mark, both hands on the steering wheel. How am I supposed to shift? Well, when you shift, you're going to have to take one hand off the wheel and shift into 2 or 3. And then you put your hand back on the wheel. But in racing, you have an air shifter. In passenger cars, you have to manually shift gears. So it does take practice. You lift your foot off the accelerator. Myles S. got the same name. Hey, we do got the same name. That is awesome. Mine is M-Y. Yours is M-I, right? Wolf God. Let him drive the car I bought because it was money that I made. I'm going to put my hands where... I'm not mad at you. Put your hands where you want. But you got to be mindful of other people. A lot of these comments I'm reading, you're not thinking about the people out on the street. Pedestrians, your grandma, your grandfather, little kids. You as drivers, you got to consider their environment. Now, if you live on 80 acres, do what you want. But when you go into the downtown area, or you're in downtown Detroit, downtown Texas, downtown Dallas, Texas, you got to be mindful of pedestrians. Pedestrians will walk right in front of you. And then if you run them over, that's blood on your hands. So you want to be a defensive driver, okay? We're just going through right now. Mark, I usually drive with one hand in a beer. Well, if you drive with one hand in a beer, you're going to have an open alcohol, and you're going to get a ticket for under the influence. You can't have open alcohol when you're driving, okay? You will definitely get pulled over with the quickness. So don't consume alcohol when you're driving because you will end up going to jail. So please practice better fundamentals. Beach, Florida. While for new drivers it's good as a general rule, forcing someone to do 10 and 2, every driving hand position has drawbacks. Okay, 9 and 3, 10 and 2, 8 and 4. There's no absolute best way to hold a steering wheel. You have to have both hands on the wheel. What if you go over a bump? You're going to lose control. What if it's around a sharp curve and centrifugal force is pulling you out to the right or pulling you out to the left? You got to have good control. Shay Hay, you got to know your left and right. A lot of beginning drivers mix up left and right. You'd be surprised. Take one, change 5, drunk. You're going to end up hurting someone mystery. Please don't drive drunk. Be consistent. If you have to drive, get a designated driver, right? Most states and most countries and provinces, they are very strict on driving under the influence, okay? Don't drive under the influence of any type of substance, okay? Tommy Kolwitsky, I do mine like Tommy Lee. Well, you want to be safe like Tommy Lee. You want to be consistent. Safety is no accident. You learn early on, and then your learners level, young adults. It takes 10 years. If you're 15, 25. If you're 16, 26. It takes 10 years to learn how to drive a car. Steering is just one element. You have braking, you have manual, you have traffic, downtown. Brian, 10 and 2 is outdated, 9 and 3, 8 and 4 because of airbags. Brian, I see people driving with their chin. I see people driving with their knee. I see females putting mascara on. I see guys reading books. I see people shaving. It's incredible the things that you see. I see people popping in. You got a comment? Type in a question. I think you need to be mindful of airbags, okay? And be aware. You want to have both hands on the wheel to be safe and consistent, okay? Rogena? I tried telling my girlfriend this once. She said, my mom drives this way. Well, when you engage with someone, if their mom is reckless or fast, they're going to be reckless and fast. I drove a young lady, her mother had a Mustang drag radial supercharger. She was driving 60 through the neighborhood. I said, young lady, please slow down. I'm sorry, my mom drives fast. I said, you got to slow down, okay? So when you're 3 to 5 to 10, you're watching your parents. And if they have good steering behaviors and good safe driving maneuvers, you will have good safe driving maneuvers. If they're wild and reckless, you'll be wild and reckless. Scared. He wanted to drive that way. It doesn't make sense. Left hand, lean back. Okay. My son is, okay, we got a comment. Hi, I just wanted to say thanks for the help. My mom and the teens. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for love. Give this live stream a thumbs up. Share it. It will be pushed out to more people. You good? Okay, we're answering your questions, right? And then we're going through. So if you lean back, okay, and I'm leaning back, I mean, your arm is straight. That's not really comfortable. Okay, you watching too many movies, my brother, my sister. No one drives like this. What if you have to make an emergency maneuver? Okay, you're driving like this. I'm going to lean back. That's not comfortable. Okay, you've got to have your hands at 10 and 3 or 9 and 2. No one leans back like that. You're watching too many Hollywood movies. You got to be safe out there. Trust me, you don't see people leaning back and driving. Okay, I can see the seat tilted back, but leaning back, that's very, very dangerous. Brandon R. This guy hasn't had to drive without power brakes. True that. If you don't have power steering, then it's going to take a lot of force to turn that wheel. One hand is not enough. Palming is not enough. I've been there. My 68 Camaro, Gen 1 Camaro, I don't have power steering. I have a rack in there. And if I turn the wheel too much, I'm going into the wall to the right, going in the wall to the left. Trust me, when I let that trans brake button go, I'm pulling about 3 Gs. And then this car is going through at over 150 miles an hour. That's just a racing application. I'm talking about driving on the street. You're getting up to 35 or 40 in most major areas. This is not a racetrack, okay? You got to be safe out there, all right? Broker, I let my dog drive. Okay, that's cool. I got a dog too. If I say her name, she'll come down here. I'm not going to let her drive because she has paws and not hands, and she'll end up crashing. Your dog or cat? In a police chase. A police chase? Oh my God! Don't chase the police. You got to follow the rules and laws on the road. You really do have to follow the rules and laws on the road. Be safe out there, okay? Be consistent. We're answering your questions right now. Give us a thumbs up. We're going through answering your questions. We're going to try to answer as many as possible. So if you got involved in a crash, a chase, I am sorry. You don't want to run from the police. They have cameras. They have helicopters. You won't get far. And then they'll do the pit maneuver. You and your dog will be arrested. So you don't want to do that. Real talk. Karan, Emmanuel, you have to shift smoothly. If you bang that gear, you're going to upset the suspension. You got to be smooth, okay? Some cars have 6 speeds, some cars have 5 speeds. Manuals are very fun, but you got to really be precision. You got to match your gas with your brake. You got to go into that curve slowly, and you got to accelerate out smoothly. Okay. X, you want to be smooth as possible. Blue raspberry in my state is 9-3 or 8-4. I'm not mad at you. Every state is different. 9-3, 10-2, 8-4. Right? They're different. There's no absolute way to turn the steering wheel. If you have questions, type them in, right? Type those questions in. Dom, they teach 8-4 hand positioning now. There's no absolute best way to turn the steering wheel. Okay, we'll go 8-4. Okay, how long are your arms, right? Reaction king. Anyone notice that he's steering, he's not moving? I'm confused. Do cars now turn? Some cars do slightly turn. We're talking about cars 2022, 2023. I can't give you specific details because I signed a confidentiality agreement, but they are, we have self-driving cars. This is nothing new, right? Cars will slightly turn around a curve. They will shake if you are going off the road. So we have newer technologies today to assist drivers. You feel me? V-Man, my mom and dad who do everything just said, yet drive perfectly. It's practice. When your mom and dad have been driving for 10, 12, 15, 18, 20 years, and they make things look easy. Left turns are the most dangerous. Why? You're turning across traffic, right? Right turns, you have to turn at that 90 degree. Okay, I can take you to areas where there's 70-degree turns. I guarantee you're going to turn out wide. And drivers get impatient and they'll cut under us. Christopher V, the AAA program, I got my cert. They use 5, 7, and 5. Interesting. 7 and 5. So it's a little bit below. That's pretty interesting. Then that's not bad. 7 and 5.
That's even lower.
7 and wow, that's kind of low. 7 and 5, I'm not mad at you. That's very interesting. I might have to experiment with that. I like that 7 and 5. I'm going to give you your heart and give you some love. That's interesting. And I like to go through that AAA program, right? So I might have to call them up and do some research because I always want to get better, right? Scott H said, nah. Anytime you can go through another driving program, go through it. Anytime you can learn better skill sets, go through it. Okay? Go through those programs, enhance your skill sets. I think every 5 years, all drivers need to go through a refresher. Okay? Get better. Unfair X. I drive a semi-truck. I meant if you drive a semi-truck. Well, I don't have experience in that type of application. I had one friend, we drove to New York. We took the Windsor Tunnel over to Buffalo. That's when I was like really young, like high school age. They have a steering knuckle and they turn that wheel and really crank it. So I really can't speak on that. The biggest vehicle I've driven is about a 15,000 pound cargo van. So I really can't speak on that. But that'd be an interesting topic. I will talk to some drivers on that. So if we have semi-truck drivers, chime in. GH, I drive the way I want. Well, GH, you got to think of other people in HTS. That's the Highway Transportation System. Be aware, because if you're going to be selfish like that and go to a downtown Chicago, a downtown Detroit, you will hit people. Pedestrians pop out. I don't know where you live. Maybe you live in an isolated rural area, but if you drive in a heavily congested area, you're going to end up crashing, and we don't want to crash. John Heck, I drive on my knees. That's not out of control. I'm going to get my knee up. I drive with my knee, bro. You can't do that. You're not out of control. And the crash, that's stunt people. Most humans don't. I guarantee if you drive like that, when the police see you, you're going to get pulled over. So don't drive with your knee, right? Pup, winter, I could drive with my knee to tote a blunt in high school. Well, number one, you don't want to be smoking in high school. Number two, you want to have good practice. And number three, you'll definitely be in court very soon because people in neighborhoods and communities have cameras and they're going to be watching you. Suzanne Hinda, 10 and 2, without the installation, without the went out with the installation airbags. Well, what is the best method? What method do you use? 10 and 2, 9 and 3, 8 and 4. We had another person who left comments. They said 7 and 5. So do your research. We all need to do more research. And I'm taking the time. You still good?
Yeah.
Okay. 361. 361. Pub winner, we answered that.
Oh, yeah.
361 local fish. Everything he said is bull. I ain't nobody taking my advice. My knee or palm do a lot of driving. Well, it's just not practical. You're going to lose control of your vehicle. You're not going to have total steering control. When you're making left turns, you want to turn hand over hand. When you're making right turns, hand over hand, a hand to hand. You've got to have control of your vehicle. The knee and palm, it's just more dangerous. Some people prefer to live on danger. I prefer to live in reality, right? Izzy, I just think I got a ticket. Well, hopefully you don't get a ticket because your insurance will go up. Nasta DS10, I was told 4 and 8 was the best. There are different theories. Look at these comments. You can look at it for yourself. 10 and 3, 9 and 3, 10 and 2. The best one I heard from AAA is 7 and 5. 7 and 5. So that's very interesting. And I'm going to do some research on that. I would love to do a professional development, have AAA come in and teach me and then stream it live, right? Kimuk said no. It says Anastasia Road to Success. Do all of those. Well, we want to practice good fundamentals. 9 and 3, 10 and 2, 7 and 5. It's just so many different techniques. Chrissy, me who holds the steering wheel with one thumb, you're going to end up breaking your thumb. You're just not going to have that control. And you're going to end up slicing and cutting your turn. Okay? Max Douglas, 10 and 2, quarter to 3, past 4 years. I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I like that 10 and 2 because you're just turning the wheel quarter. So you're going to make a really smooth, slow turn. But if you make it a smooth, slow turn, making a left, you could go really slow and get hit by oncoming traffic, right? We're answering questions. If you're just popping in, we went through about 80 questions, 90 questions. We're going to answer as many as possible. We're talking about best practice for driving and how you get better and what you need to do. So you want to do your best work, right? And we're going to hit another song here. If you have some comments, type them in. But
you got advice for dealing with extreme driving
anxiety. You want to have your caregiver there with you who's going to show you love and support. Drive during off-peak hours. You may have to go and get some type of anxiety medication. Anxiety is real. You may have had some emotional trauma, mental trauma. You may have been in an accident, and this type of trauma is real. Anxiety is real. So you have to acknowledge that and have a good person with you, drive during off-peak hours, and you may have to seek professional guidance. Okay? I've been trained in some of those things, right? So, all right, let's keep going here. Bruce the Shepherd. Yeah, try that driving stick, no power. And speak facts on that. If you don't have power steering, it's going to take a lot of force to turn the wheel. Those of you who are younger, you don't understand that. Those of you who are over 35 or 40, you understand what it means to drive, and you may not have power steering. Tremaine Stewart, bro, don't know what he talking about. Maybe you don't have experience driving a manual. Maybe you learn just to have both hands on the wheel. We know there's airbags, so 9 and 3, 10 and 2. I really like that 7 and 5. but it depends on how long your arms are, right? That's serious. Scott Wright, driving instructor in an automatic. Most cars today are automatics. We're going to wrap this up in about 5 more minutes. Most cars are automatics today. 10% are manuals. It depends on where you are in the world. In Europe, a lot of manuals. Germany, a lot of manuals. Australia, a lot of manuals. Here in the States, more automatics than manuals. I've learned to drive both. If you want me to shoot some content using manual, I think that'll bring you value. Extreme TSD had no clue about understanding hand over hand thing. A lot of people don't. Hand over hand in, hand over hand out. Some people let the wheel spin. You'll spin and go to the left, spin and go to the right. Let's skip through some more. Nub fish to ensure maximum safety, build your own car. Make sure no hidden malfunctions. You can build your own car. You can order your own car. And then you still have to drive it unless we're having a Tesla or some type of smart car. Max X Long, 9 and 3. Nah, man, I like 9 and 11. So 9. Okay, so
What?
9
Like that?
and 11. So you're driving.
No, that's 1. 11 is here.
11.
9 is here. So
So you're kind of like this.
no, you put your right arm,
Okay.
right hand.
Oh, are you talking about?
Yeah, like that.
Oh, you're driving like this. You're gonna end up losing control, right? Jigga North. I'm just looking through some comments. Jigga North. It's hand open beer, no hands. You can't drive with open alcohol in the car, right? You're gonna end up getting pulled over. So let's kind of review. We went through about 80 to 90 questions. We showed you love. And this replay will hopefully be valuable to you. I'm just going to kind of recap. There are different methods to turn the wheel. 9 and 3, 10 and 2, 8 and 4. The most interesting one comment said
7, 5.
7,
Lower.
7 and 5. I have really, and I might have to try that, but for me, I feel like I might panic, and I have an open mind. I'm willing to try things. I just wanted to say thank you all for taking the time to leave a comment. We will get through more comments. We'll go live another time. I'll make an announcement. If this brought you value and we stay focused on driving, I just want to say thank you. We want to thank our guest, Joy. She was answering. She was typing some of the comments in and responding to you. Subscribe, like this content, and share it. I'm very active on my channel. Please leave some comments. Bye, guys.